End of turn 3. And an interesting turn. The Germans decided not to proceed with Sea Lion in this turn, because to do so they wouldn't really have had enough units attacking at once, and the British probably just would have replenished the units they've got, so the Germans would have been taking more losses, and it's not worth committing the Luftwaffe because they would just all get killed. Yeah, it just wasn't the right time to do it. So what they've done instead is they've built more transport ships, and they brought their fleet up from the South Atlantic. The two submarines have consolidated up there in that Soviet convoy route to deny the Soviets four. And just continuing with the Battle of the Atlantic, the British destroyers taken back that convoy route, so they're starting to get some IPCs back, and the Americans have built a battleship and a fighter, and they've taken that sea lane convoy there with the 4 points, and they've also reinforced Britain with one of their fighters, because now that the sort of like, the Germans can't really venture across that side of the Atlantic, but the battleship they've got here in the foreground is still a threat, because if those guys get too close, that could sort you out. But of course, once this battleship gets in, that's going to tip the favour. So the Germans next turn have really got to get into the channel here with 6 transports and start whooping stuff across, and even put the Luftwaffe in and see if they can't actually get it in one go. So that's going to be interesting. Nothing really happened in North Africa. Everyone's just sitting there. And this was quite interesting. The Germans took the Caucasus, and quite convincingly. So they've, obviously been fueling up with that 4 points. But the Soviets counterattacked with their 5 tanks and infantry, and it sort of went okay. They had superior odds, but so they took Ukraine back, and then they've just shuffled infantry around to make it difficult to counterattack them. So it didn't go brilliantly well because of the amount that they lost, but it's really whittling the Germans down, and the Germans can't really afford to lose people. Interesting. Up here, nothing, just shuttling people around, and of course here the Germans have reinforced this turn by bringing in troops and bringing in guns. The idea being that those 5, 6 transports will sit in the ditch next turn, and they can put 1 artillery and 1 infantry on each of them, so that's 6 infantry and 6 artillery all crossing the channel in one go, which even with those 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 infantry there, it's going to start to whittle them down, especially if the Luftwaffe get involved as well, because there's quite a lot of planes there. Now, unfortunately, the Germans in the Ukraine did lose two fighters. That's what convinced the Russians to attack, is because there was 2 fighters in there, and of course they couldn't retreat. So yeah, that was quite a blow. So good turn. I think it's all going to happen in the next couple of turns. Quite a short game, really. When you choose to go for Britain, it might take the Allies a while to kill the Germans, but really it's going to be, we'll know which way it's going to go in the next couple of turns, because of course the convoys are coming back under Allied control, which is increasing their production, and the Americans are sort of fully into the war, so the grinding down of the Germans is beginning. It's just a case of whether they can get across the channel. See you in turn 4.